Well, let's go to our next guest now. Little change of pace. Who is one of Abram's colleagues over at Grantland and the self-described Alec Baldwin of HoopSpeak Live for his multiple hosting appearances, Rafe Bartholomew, also known as Rafe here.
Thanks, Beckley. I feel like I'm not quite as grandiose as you're making me out to be. I mean it in a joking manner, calling myself Alec Baldwin, and I'm very proud to have been here for the third time.
Well, next time you have to wear a tux, and we'll make it official.
There you go. Oh, I need to get a plaque made.
Well, we're saying that you're in LA where Kevin Arnovitz is, who we've had on here a bunch of times, and we're going to set up the HoopSpeak Live frequent host lounge, which is will be a bus stop on Venice, and you guys can hang out there.
I mean, we'll have some, we'll have some of those Spaldings that you could pump without a needle.
There you go, the never flats. Okay, so you've been doing a series for Grantland on. For some reason, you're able to make really terrible basketball very fun to read about. What's the deal with this series, and who are the teams that who are the awful teams you most enjoy watching?
All right, so back at the beginning of the season, we were sort of just sitting around talking about, story ideas, different ways to approach writing about basketball games. And, we thought, I came up with this idea, let's actually sit down and, force someone to watch these games that on, a bad night in the schedule, people who don't have league pass might be forced to watch, or just real diehard fans of certain teams are forced to watch because they love the Bobcats or they love the Wizards or for whatever reason. We wanted to call it a fate worse than death in sort of like a commiserating way. Like we want to share the share the pain. And I think part of it came out of me. I am from New York, and there was that long spell of the Scott Layden into Isaiah Thomas into, the first rough D'Antoni years of the Knicks, when you would turn on MSG 3 times a week, and the most interesting storyline would be, what is Clyde Frazier going to say tonight? Because it was just going to be, the Layden era, it was going to be, Clarence Weatherspoon and Othello Harrington, like running pick and pop, with Howard Isley. Then it was, then it was Isaiah Thomas teams and Nate and Larry Brown. It was just anyway. So this season, I've only got to do it formally a few times, and they're the teams that are bad but fun to watch. I mean, the pre-trade Wizards, I think, were in a way the I don't know, the platonic ideal of that kind of team where they had a lot of guys who could make plays, but also would just make more boneheaded plays than basketball plays.
Right.
And it was half. You might see them do something really great. You might see them do something really funny, and they were probably going to lose. Then the most recent game I wrote about was the Bobcats. I hate to remember who they played now. Bobcats Pistons last week.
Oof.
And and that was one of those games where it was not easy to come up with things to write about. It was just dull from front to back, but the thing I've enjoyed about writing the series is that I get to look up and sort of really go deep into a team and sort of a franchise that I probably haven't paid as much attention to because they're not on TNT, they're not on SportsCenter,
Sure.
and they're not part of the league's big storylines. So it's fun to go and sort of read deep into all the local blogs and stuff like that. And I really recommend the Pistons mailbag on their NBA.com page. It's a one of a kind read.
Yeah, you're talking about like just the delusional optimism in some of the questions, and you know how the guy who's responding is dealing with them. So you talked about the Wizards. Obviously, McGee is the ultimate bad player that is thrilling to watch. Who? What? Hey! Finally, a photo bomb. I was waiting. Who are the? Who is that? And then who are the best? Who are like the most fun, terrible players to watch?
Who just photobombed us?
Both, yeah.
Dang.
Okay, so that was Jay Kang, our editor here at Grantland. Who's like he's sort of the Alec Baldwin of HoopSpeak photo bombers. This is his third time.
He's like John Hamm. He's always making cameos.
Yeah. But for sort of so bad they're good players. There's a lot of different variations on that theme. I got a chance earlier in my career to do a long profile of Nate Robinson when he was with the Knicks, and I've always sort of loved watching him play because he'll come in and take over a game, one out of every 4 or 5 games, and the other times he will. So he'll shoot you out of a game, but he'll always do it in a very enthusiastic way and maybe interact with Will Ferrell on the sidelines but I mean he objectively probably Nate is one of those guys who's not like a great player in the NBA, but he's he brings he plays with an enthusiasm you don't see in necessarily every NBA player. And so that can make him exciting. And then some of it's fun when you're watching one of these not so great teams or they're in garbage time and you see these guys who you've heard about or you remember from their college careers and they never show up. I got to see a little Hasheem Thabeet when he was with the Rockets earlier this year during garbage time against the Clippers. And it was we were all just sort of like, what's the beat gonna do? And the answer turned out to be very little.
Probably not very much. Yeah, exactly.
He tried to get into position to set a screen. He watched some guys rebound around him. But it was just sort of this moment of anticipation, like, oh, this is like maybe one of 6 chances to see Hasheem Thabeet play this year. However, since the trade,
you're really squeezing the last drops of enjoyment out of the NBA game when you're getting excited about Hasheem Thabeet.